Have you ever noticed that some people can walk into a room, say one thing, and completely ruin your day? Maybe it's a one text message or one phone call, one family gathering, one conversation, and suddenly you're questioning yourself, your goals, your decisions, and sometimes even your worth, or just downright mad. Here's what I've learned. The problem isn't always the toxic person. Sometimes the bigger problem is that we never learned how to identify who deserves access to us in the first place. Today, I'm sharing 5 things that finally gave me permission to stop carrying everyone else's emotions, expectations, and drama. And if you stick around until the end, I'm going to share the one thing that changed everything for me, the thing that made boundaries easier, toxic relationships more obvious, and decision-making so much simpler. Because once you understand that final point that I'm going to share with you, you'll never look at your relationships the same way again. Now let's get into it, shall we? Number 5 is posture protocols. We talked about those last week. Stop deciding what to do in the middle of the storm. One reason toxic people have so much influence over us is because they catch us unprepared. We react. We get emotional. And then we end up feeling guilty. We second guess ourselves. And before we know it, we've abandoned our own needs to make someone else comfortable. That's why I teach these things called posture protocols. Now, a posture protocol is simply a predetermined action you take when life knocks you off balance. We talked about those last week. If you haven't watched that video, go back to it. You decide who you're going to be before the situation occurs. Let me give you an example. If someone repeatedly disrespects you, your protocol may be reducing their access to you. If someone creates chaos every time you talk to them, your protocol may be limiting that communication. Let's say someone leaves you emotionally exhausted after every interaction, your protocol may be distance. The goal isn't punishment, it's protection, because your peace deserves a plan. Don't you think? Wouldn't you agree? Now, number 4 is boundaries are data. Let's clear something up. Healthy people don't hate boundaries. People who benefit from the absence of boundaries do. So, I want you to read that again. Healthy people don't hate boundaries. People who benefit from the absence of boundaries do. A boundary isn't a wall. It's merely information. It's simply a way of communicating what works and what doesn't work. And here's the interesting thing about boundaries. You don't actually know where they are or where they're needed until somebody crosses one. That's why I tell people to become observers of their own lives. Who is it that's consistently draining your energy? Who creates anxiety before they even call? Who makes you feel guilty for pursuing your goals? Those moments aren't inconveniences, they're clues, and you need to pay attention. They are revealing exactly where boundaries belong. Okay, let's move on to number 3. Expectations are quietly running your life. This one right here really hit me hard. Many of us are living according to expectations we never agreed to. Family expectations, workplace expectations, friendship expectations, cultural expectations. And because nobody ever said them out loud, we never stopped to ask if they work for us. Think about how many times you've done something simply because it was expected. Not because you wanted to, friend. No, not because it was aligned with your goals. Not because it brought you joy, but because it was expected. And one of the most powerful questions that you can ask yourself is this: who decided this? Who decided I have to answer every single call? Who decided I have to attend every single event? Who decided that I had to sacrifice my peace to keep somebody else comfortable? Often, nobody did. You inherited the expectation and never questioned it. And that's exactly how people become trapped in relationships that no longer serve them. All right, let's move on to the number 2 thing. We're almost at number 1, and this is your personal operating system. Have you ever noticed that successful people seem to make difficult decisions faster? It's not because they're smarter, my friend. It's because they have a system. Your phone, Android, iOS, it has an operating system. Your computer has an operating system. Your business should have systems if it doesn't, call me. But most people are trying to navigate life without one. Now, your personal operating system is simply the set of principles that guide your decisions. It's how you show up in the world. It's what helps you determine what deserves your attention and what doesn't. It's what keeps guilt from becoming your GPS. Without an operating system, you will spend your life reacting. With one, you become intentional. When someone crosses a line, you stop asking things like, what will they think? And you will start asking yourself, what does my system require? This is a powerful shift in your mindset and your perspective. Now, the number 1 thing is self-awareness. This is a real game changer. Now we're at the most important one. And honestly, none of the other works without it. Okay, so from research, we talked about this before. Dr. Tasha Eurich talked about 95% of us believe that we're self-aware when only 10 to 15% of us actually are. And I want you to think about that for a minute because you might be thinking you are and you're not. Most people know more about the people around them than they know about themselves. And that's exactly why toxic relationships survive. Because if you don't know who you are, my friend, someone else will define that for you. If you don't know what you value, someone else's priorities become your priorities. And if you don't know what kind of life you want, you will spend years building a life that works for everybody but you. That's why self-awareness is so powerful. It truly becomes a filter. It becomes a lens, quite honestly, a framework, if you will. And you will stop asking things like, how do I keep everyone else happy, right? And you'll start asking yourself, now, does this align with who I really want to be, who I'm becoming? Because that single question is going to change your life. Not everyone is meant to go where you're going, my friend. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your energy. And not everyone gets a vote in your future. The more self-aware you become, the easier it is to identify relationships that support that growth and relationships that are actively working against you. And that's not selfish. That's responsible. So if you've been waiting for permission to protect your peace, let this be the permission you're looking for. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your time, your energy, your attention, or quite frankly, your future. You are allowed to outgrow people. You are allowed to change, and you are allowed to prioritize your goals. And you're allowed to build a life that aligns with your values, even if everyone around you doesn't understand it. Because the truth is, your dream life isn't usually destroyed by one toxic person. It's destroyed by years of tolerating things you knew weren't right for you. So, if today's conversation resonated with you, then you're exactly why I created the Executive Alignment Framework Leadership Intensive. Inside this intensive, I help people just like you develop the self-awareness, clarity, confidence, boundaries, and personal operating system necessary to create a life that actually aligns with who they're becoming. Because alignment isn't something you find, it's something you create. So the link is below, it's in the description, and I would love to help you build a framework that makes every decision easier. So until next time, protect your peace like your future depends on it, my friend, because it does. Bye.